Here we have a deadlift. And with the deadlift, I start with high hips on purpose, and I actually start with poor posture on purpose. The first thing that I do is I initiate the lift by pulling on the bar. And I like to say that I pull 99% of the bar weight. So I don't pull 100% because then the bar would come off the ground. I pull 99% of the bar weight and I spread that over my back, and that's going to help drop my hips and lift my chest. And that looks like this. The first thing that I do is I take a deep breath and I set my midsection, preparing it ready to lift, because the midsection needs to remain static or neutral during the entire lift. Taking that deep breath is going to help me set my abs. While I'm taking my deep breath, you'll notice my shoulders pull back in place, and that's because my lats, the big muscle here, are pulling them in place, and my lats are going to cover my whole back as well and help spread that weight, even tension over my back. So while I'm pulling up on this bar, I'm taking a deep breath, setting my lats. Now I'm going to keep the tension pulling up on the bar. That's going to help drop my hips and lift my chest. So I'm still pulling on the bar, still pulling on the bar, still pulling on the bar, and I roll myself into position. And position, you'll know you're in position when you have a nice neutral spine, while of course bracing the abs at all times, bracing the core at all times, and you'll have a nice even weight in the feet. So you'll balance that weight nice and evenly in the feet. You should look something like I look here, but of course biomechanics are going to determine a different body position for everybody. I'm now going to transition that pull-in feeling on the bar smoothly into a push-in feeling of the legs. I'm not actually going to pull this bar off the ground. And that's what happens when people look like they kind of do an arc when they do a deadlift. We're going to initiate the lift by driving the legs into the ground. As I drive the legs into the ground, I need to stress the importance of maintaining the neutral spine through the strength of the core muscles. So I drive into the ground with my legs, and you'll notice that I haven't lost much position of my core at all, or my neutral spine position. I've paused on purpose right here at the patella tendon when the bar is literally at my patella tendon just under my kneecap. The reason I like to pause at this position for 3 to 5 seconds is because in this position, this bar is pulling my or challenging my posture. And that's the main reason why I and my athletes do deadlifts, is to create strength in the postural muscles and the midsection, while of course creating strength in the lower body by lifting the weight off the ground. But the main thing is pausing at the middle is going to give you time under tension to brace or hang off that core. After we've paused for 3 to 5 seconds, we're then going to recruit the posterior chain muscles here, and they're going to wrap down like this. So from the glutes right down to the hamstrings, they're going to tighten and pull the back open by contracting the muscles of the glutes and hamstrings. What we are not going to do is lean back or extend the muscles in the back or the lumbar spine in particular. By driving the hips forward, by contracting those posterior chain muscles, the bar will slide up the hips and you'll end up in a nice neutral position, basically vertical with the ground. And what this position does is it supports the weight that's on the bar with your core, your glutes, your quads, and your hamstrings. Rather than if someone were to lean back at the top, you're creating a frame with your joints of your knees, hips, and lumbar spine. I prefer this position much more because it challenges the muscle. I call it a more muscular position at the top rather than a jointy position at the top. So one more time. We start with high hips on purpose. We pull on the bar into place. We take a deep breath and set the muscles of the lats and the core together, and we roll into a neutral position of the spine and get ready to transition that pull-in feeling of the bar into a push-in feeling of the legs. We drive up to the knees and we pause for 3 to 5 seconds, of course, bracing the midsection at all times. In this position, you'll notice my shoulders are well over the front of the bar, and I'm very stable in this position and balanced. I now use my posterior chain muscles to slide the bar up my thighs. My hips drive forward as a consequence, and I'm squeezing my abs at the top, and we've got a nice neutral position at the top, supporting the weight with our muscles.